What? Another one of those? Yes, another one of those. The clock has passed midnight here on the East Coast, so it's technically Saturday. I don't have something more technical in the number one parking spot for the streams as we head off into Retroland. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, and welcome to the Late Night Nerd Lounge. Actually correct this time. It is late night. It is 18 minutes past midnight here. We're going to be checking out Starforge Systems. Basically, Starforge Systems is the OTK guys' computer, OTK folks, as I should say. Don't forget Emiru. The OTK folks decided to start a computer company. This should be interesting. I think there's a place out there for gamer-run computer companies that have access to like media and things along those lines. But my feelings, like many other commentators who've chimed in on the Starforge Systems thing, I share the concerned mixed view regarding that company, as many other people that have talked about this business, as the OTK folks have tried to get it off the ground here. So it'll be interesting. I think Moist Critical's in on it as well. First, though, let's answer the burning question. Like, wait a minute, Jay, you said you were going to work on your retro setup. I did work on my retro setup. I was over here testing testing the Retrobit Sega 6-button controller here with the Golden Axe and other games in the Sega Genesis collection over on Steam. So a couple of controllers came in, retro controllers for the modern and retro setups. This is the Sega controller, officially licensed too, so it's like a brand new Sega controller that does have the feel of a 6-button controller, because I have one for my retro setup. I wanted one for the USB side for the Genesis collection, which is still sitting over here from our little discussion earlier. Genesis collection on PS3, plug this thing into a USB port. Or over on PC, the Steam and stuff, there's like a $30 DLC for me to download literally all the rest of the games that will work with the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Classics collection. Problem is that it's an emulator, so I'm looking at raw pixel art, and it just looks bizarre. Basically, if you thought sitting too close to the TV as a kid was weird, made things look weird. Imagine the post-CRT era looking at this stuff on an LCD with fixed pixels. It's like I'm looking at someone's like fan art or something. It's just like, see, sprites in retro games were designed with CRTs in mind. The artists that were involved knew what these things were going to be played on, so they factored the limitations of the CRT technology into account with sprites. Much in the same way, if you know colors are blending together, you might paint in a certain way so that the colors blend together when viewed a certain way. Yeah, and this is not an original controller because there's L and R buttons that were added for some other stuff. It is compatible, though, with the Sega Genesis Classic and stuff like that. I've also been checking out the Hyperkin controllers as well. I don't have very much for NES these days, but the Hyperkin Cadet, the new one, this new revision of it that doesn't look as much like an NES controller. I think there's a reason why these controllers no longer look like the original hardware. And I think that is because Nintendo has Switch controllers for Nintendo Switch Online that are basically NES and SNES controllers. So if Hyperkin makes controllers that look too much like the originals, now they might actually get in trouble for it. So if they haven't already. Then you go over to Super Nintendo. Here's what I've been playing the Super Mario World on the Hyperkin Scout. Very, very dog bone style, but it feels like a Super Nintendo controller, except the material for the cross key is a little bit different and some other stuff. But it's close enough to be functional. And then, of course, you move up to the N64, you have the Captain or the Wireless Admiral with a more modern thumbstick than what was on the original N64. So you have your... on the N64 side of things, you have something that feels a lot more like home, so to speak, with the new thumbstick. The thumbsticks on the N64 controllers were in many ways a first and a worst for analog stick technology. They would accumulate controller dust from the plastic grinding together as you played, and eventually would start messing with things. You could take the controller apart and get all the dust out and fix it a bit, but eventually it would start the stick would start getting wobbly from too much Mario Party and stuff along those lines. So it's cool though, you know, if you're gonna wow. Did a lot of Sega people throw their controllers by mistake because of this curved design back in the day? So the thing is, though, there are so many ways to play these games besides the original hardware, but you might as well get the feel down. So in the case of Sega and whatnot, These controllers are officially licensed to Retrobit. So for all we know, Retrobit probably has access to IP and other internal stuff that only Sega would have had access to back in their hardware building days. So, why not? Stuff along those lines. So yeah, I've been testing everything out with these retro controllers and everything, testing them all out as we've done our thing here. And I think I'll mostly cram all of the progress for videos and stuff into Saturday. This discussion, however, is going to displace the whole multimedia meta discussion from earlier, and for good reason, too. Multimedia meta is going to take a back seat. It's not something that really advances a lot as a topic. So maybe the quarterlies will come back to it, or if something really big happens. But I really don't intend on turning this channel into some sort of stream advice or whatever, because a lot of people have left the space, which makes me wonder if there was any legitimacy to half of their videos in the first place. There's a lot of commentators who no longer do videos like this, so they've moved on, or it's something that's very much back burner to them. So you got to wonder, was there any substance to any of the videos they made, or were they just riding the wave of online media got a little more popular than it usually is during the lockdowns and everything? So online media gets a little more popular. People make videos, oh, I grew my stream, when in reality, they just got lucky. So it's just something to think about with regards to everything that's going on here. All right, so if I'm going to do a bunch of retro stuff and focus on videos, let's leave something very, very techy in the #1 parking spot for the streams. And this is that. But not before we get a good laugh out of this. So yeah, I'm testing out this Sega controller. I'm testing the Sega controller. I fire up Genesis Mega Drive Classics on Steam, and I get a newbie achievement. What are the buttons? Golden Axe. Use magic when no enemies are present. Somebody at Sega, or whoever made this, has a very interesting sense of humor, because they know their crowd with rookies with these games. Let's check out Starforge Systems. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Starforge Systems is a gaming PC company that has been founded by the folks involved with OTK. Think like Asmongold, S-Fan, Sear, Emiru, etc. Now, the issue I had with OTK earlier is that this org, making this gaming org, seemed to take a little bit out of the personality of everybody that's involved. For example, Asmongold might actually be seen in a suit, dressed up really nice, outside of his usual lair, aka where he plays his MMOs all the time. And it just seems like these folks have all kind of mellowed a bit. And, Moist Critical's part of this too. Okay. Soda Pop and Joint, etc. Yeah, these are all names I recognize these are all big streamer names I recognize from Twitch. But it seems like ever since forming the org, these folks all kind of lost a little bit of their of what made them who they are, and it's just conforming to rules for being in an org and stuff along those lines. Some other things, it just makes me wonder. And so for a time, I don't really watch any of them anymore, because I think that happened. But then I found out they started a computer company. Now, forming a computer company is not going to get me to watch any of these big streamers again. There's other issues going on with them as well. But I could check out their computers. There is a place for gaming PCs that are built by gamers who are well known among various gamers out there, particularly on a site like Twitch, which still, on a platform like Twitch, I should say, that still is most heavily focused on gaming. Twitch is still synonymous with gaming. And so to have a computer company rise from the ranks of people that are popular on Twitch is something very, very intriguing. Now, I will say, before we look at the website, that there is a place for a business like Starforge Systems. There is a place for a business like Starforge. PC gaming has two major problems: barriers to entry, and you need a lot of tech know-how and stuff. Cost, I often say that consoles are what they are for two reasons: their cost and their simplicity. PCs usually are worse on both of those. As much as I bragged about a $500-something upgrade to make Monolith a couple of years ago, that's because I already had half the parts from previous systems. So, as much as I bragged about it, I already had half of what I needed to build a computer in the first place. I did some checking and what it would have cost back in the day. I added all the orders together, including the case and some of the other stuff, then threw in an allowance for parts that I was bringing over from Tuxedo at the time, and the cost of Monolith was closer to $1,000. If I was starting from scratch, it would be a lot more expensive to custom build from scratch. So the thing with PC gaming is that you want to spread the costs out by doing upgrades rather than whole new systems. If you have to start from scratch, you might be better with a retail conversion than, you know, take the graphics card to your home built system and whatnot when you get it all together. But by and large, there really is no easy way to get into PC gaming without a bunch of strings attached. You do a retail conversion, you're stuck with whatever gotchas the manufacturer put into the case. And then there's things like the MSI Trident, which is like a console style, looked like an Xbox One X. Looks like an Xbox One X APU system, but you're limited because, you know, can you upgrade anything in that thing? It's like a net top. So it's like, you don't want the restrictions of a console when you get into PC gaming. So an easy in with standardized systems to where people who want to get into PC gaming can benefit from some kind of bulk discount from basically an OEM who sells, you know, standardized systems that can get a lot of people into PC gaming. That's something that has been missing for the longest time. You go onto Newegg, for example, and you'll find a lot of $1,500 gaming PCs being sent out as pre-builts. It'll be through like third parties and stuff like that. But Newegg, in a sense, is basically facilitating the sale of the goods. They don't really have a stake in the matter. It'd be nice if there was a company out there somewhere that has a compelling reason to fix one of the biggest barriers to entry into PC gaming. So I think there's room in the industry for a Starforge. I just don't know if their current catalog really gets them there. It's really gonna... I really think, you know, aside from the questionable issue of having somebody from Artesian Builds involved in the leadership structure, which other folks like Tech Yes City have already talked about, I think there's room for a Starforge Systems, but I think that the folks involved, the streamers in particular, are going to have to refine this and also be willing to use their own systems on stream. In a sense, if they make a company that does this service for people by making it easier to get into PC gaming, by having essentially an OEM for gamers instead of office PCs all the time. If they were to build something, if they're going to establish something like this, then they should be able to benefit from it themselves and use one of their own high-end models. Why not get in on the fun? If they're really providing this service and dealing with one of the biggest issues with PC gaming, then use their own stuff. Let's take a look. Starforge Systems with a phallic Star Trek style logo and everything. Somebody had to go all 90s video games with this stuff. It looks like something from Star Trek. Let's see. So Starforge, our creators, here's the folks there. What, S-Fan with his wild sense of humor as usual. So here's these folks. The thing is, though, we got to start seeing them using the systems on their streams instead of having custom setups. And if they went to all the trouble to set up a company like this, then they might as well, you know, they might as well benefit from it. So let's see what they have here. Starforge Horizon is $9.99. Didn't they say they were dropping the prices? Is there some kind of update that said they might drop the prices on some of these because some things were too expensive and some of the combos were bizarre? The ideas for these systems was basically set up 8 months ago, so things have changed since then, particularly with regards to the storage and stuff. They got the branding down pat, though. I'm sure some people will be offended away by the logo, though. Yeah, you know, it was like in that scene in The Apprentice where people tried to do like a suggestive photo of an airplane for a private jet rental. Let's see. So what do we have here? We have Starforge Horizon, Horizon Pro, and Horizon Elite, and then the Horizon Creator Edition. Interesting. Now, Tech Yes City has already done a huge comparison of these things here. So let's see. Starforge's introductory PC. This is the one I'm most concerned about because it's the introductory PC. It's the one that, you know, you want to get into PC gaming, you need a baseline. Something like this, which I think got its price dropped to like $900 or something. Something like this is being set as the baseline for everything. So you have the GTX in there, so not even RTX at this point. How much did they pay that guy to make that face looking at what's their entry-level model? Oh, yeah, I'm doing real serious gaming with this so-called entry-level PC. All right, let's go back to the beginning of this. Starforge's introductory PC, the Horizon, is designed to offer gamers a budget-friendly system that doesn't sacrifice component quality. The system is intended for 1080p gaming at 120 frames per second and a smooth operational experience. The problem, though, we run into F-series CPUs here. And this is where I start having an issue with this. Intel F-series CPUs. Just make sure I got my Intel letters correct here. The F-series GPUs have no integrated graphics. Now, here's the problem I have with a computer that doesn't have integrated graphics like this. You're going to be gaming on this thing. What if you bake the graphics card and the graphics card dies? Now you have a paperweight. So, especially with the graphics card shortages, I think we all know at this point that this graphics card, or that the graphics card industry, even before the COVID shortages, was notoriously fickle. Very, very fickle. There were, I would even go so far as to say, hype shortages of graphics cards. So recently we had as in a couple of years ago, we had the launch of the GTX 10 series. I came in at the 1060 level. When the 3 grands were getting ready to be launched, I was like, let's pick up a 2060, because I'll bet the 3 grands are going to cost a lot more than the MSRP, just like the 1 grands were back when they first launched. Let's get a 2 grand card instead. So I got a 2060 RTX, got into ray tracing, stuff along those lines. I'm only doing 1080p, so it doesn't matter with how high the high end goes. Then we have the infamous shortages. The infamous shortages with the PC, or with the graphics cards. The infamous shortages. And I'm thinking, thank goodness that I made that move in 2020. We have the RTX 4 grands coming out. I'm tempted to buy a 3 grand in case the same thing happens again. Or there's some kind of screwball thing with that. Should I even bother with that stuff again? So here, it's an Intel i5 at least. It was originally an i3, so they've bumped that up. Now it's an i5 11th gen, but it's F-series. What's the difference between the 11400 CPU cooler, deep cool, ATK 400 performance air cooler, RX 6600 XT? Not too familiar with Radeons, but they still have a GeForce in there from when it was originally a 1660 Ti. 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig NVMe. There is no hard drive, though. Where are you going to store all your games? So right off the bat, you're spending... Is this really $9.99? Are they dropping that? Let me just check that. Let me check the Starforge Twitter. Twitter.com/Starforge Systems. They had an announcement that some prices were going down. So let me see what we have here. Owned by OTK Network and Moist Critical. August 8th was the announcement. Upgrade alert. Upgraded, The new Horizon PC is available right now. You can upgrade for free to those parts before they're sent out. Where was this? OTK had a PC giveaway, etc., etc. Yeah, they're having some fun with this. They should be having some fun with this. Let's see here. Starting today, this is from August 9th. Starting today, our Horizon PC model will be priced at $900 versus the original $1,000 price point. Receive your feedback on processing power and are working towards a processor upgrade in the near future. So, yeah, everything, it looks like, everything is $100 less than what it was originally posted as. So that tells me a few things right there. So it's actually, this is a $900 computer that we're looking at here. And so the text has been upgraded. The CPU, I don't know. But Tech Yes City has already gone over this. So the big issue right off the bat is 512 gigs NVMe. That's the only storage that is in the thing. So you're already on the hook to buy a hard drive if you're going to put a whole bunch of games on there above and beyond, or an SSD or something along those lines. Bottom line is the first thing you're going to need is a storage upgrade. Now let me check out some the RX 6600 XT. How does that the RX 6600 XT versus 2060? So the 2060 that I have, how do those compare to one another? So it's actually 14% faster than the 2060 that I have. So than the RTX 2060. So that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent for this. The big thing, of course, that we're looking at here for these cards, for any of this stuff, the big thing that we're looking at with this Starforge thing, is going to show the right thing, right? The big thing we're looking at here is an easy way into PC gaming that's honestly priced. We know this is about $900 or so. The big issue I have, though, is what is the difference between an i5-11400F in terms of price? Which I think there's average prices on here too. So let's do, can we do that without this i5 11? Nah, we got to do CPU comparisons here. CPU comparisons, i5 11. Why don't we, I just can't believe it's more worth it to look this up through Google than to type it in through the benchmark through this. So are the 11400F and Core i5 11400F versus the i5 11400, which would give, I mean, no overclocking and whatnot. I mean, this is supposed to be a rookie system anyways. So they're the same speed, but with or without. Is there even a price difference left between the 11400 and the 11400F? This doesn't seem to say so. Is there a K? Is there a K version of it? Core i5 1100 400H. That's another one too. All right. 6-core, 12-thread, 2.6 gigs. No, it would be the 11700K. That's the i7. 600? It's the 11600K that we're looking at here. 11500F. Now 11500 going up from that. Yeah, this is a little bit of a price difference there. But we're talking like $30 or so. So would it have been more worth it to put something in with integrated graphics? So that way, if the graphics card dies, you still have a computer you can use while troubleshooting on the phone with, etc. Or maybe you play some 2D games or something that don't need a lot of graphics power. So better yet, put in a Ryzen APU. Imagine if these systems, especially since they're already running an RX 6600 XT, imagine if these systems were running off of AMD Ryzen APUs. Of course, I would have delayed starting the company another year, and I would have waited for the new AM4 socket to come in. But imagine if there was a socket AM4 Ryzen APU version of this PC. Now, maybe that was part of the issue, is that the socket's being retired. But what I'm thinking here is one of the advantages of PC gaming is the versatility of PCs in general. They have the hardware to do things like content creation and some other stuff. So if you're not playing PC games, then you don't want the computer to be a worthless paperweight if, say, the graphics card bakes or something, or you upgrade and it doesn't work out, something like that. Especially if graphics cards are hard to get. The choice to go with F-series processors on these things is a lot of the reason why I'm not all that enthusiastic about them. Because, integrated graphics, it's a gaming PC. Yeah, it's a gaming PC, but it's a PC. You want to still be able to use it for something if, say, you're waiting for a new graphics card to come in. Or do we want this to get like the Xbox 360 or something? Do we want this to get like say the Xbox 360 or something along those lines? We have to ship your console out and wait for Microsoft to send it back. I don't think we'd really want to be exposing these computers to rattling around in trucks or whatever more than absolutely necessary. So, I mean, yeah, the Starforge folks, this whole Starforge thing, it makes sense that there should be a company like this. There should be a company like this that makes it easier to get it and more standardized to get into PC gaming. Steam, Valve even tried doing that with the Steam boxes and the Steam Deck and stuff along those lines. Power supply, EVGA 600 watt, etc. Deep cool, CG 560, mid tower black. So are they just, wait, is that a case? Hold on a second. Yeah, it's a case, but is that like a standardized case? Could I build this very system on Newegg and not have to go through Starforge? I mean, they do have branded stuff for like the CPU cooler and stuff like that. Deepcool CG560. Shut up, Newegg. I'm not buying your stuff. It is. It's a $90 case when bought at retail all by itself. Ah, now the house of cards is starting to fall apart here. Oh, okay. So it is. It's a deep cool case. Deep cool case. Let's take a look at some of these things here. Does it support the use of 140 millimeter fans? Yeah, it does support 100. It does. It starts with a 140 millimeter fan as the default. So this is what the Starforge stuff is coming in here. Yeah. Does the original Starforce actually even still say deep cool on it like that? No, they airbrush that. They just they paint that over or whatever. Custom made case for this. So, I mean, it's not that bad of a case. The issue I have with the case, though, is that it's one of those airflow cases. So it's a mesh. It's not really a case. And it looks like there's stuff on the top, too. Can you see that with this? Can you see, even in some of these, can you see that there's a mesh top for airflow? No, you can't. Okay, they're missing that. But here's actually, that looks like a mesh top for it. Look at the top of this thing. Yep, there you go. I have a bit of a problem with cases like this because obviously noise. You know, design a system correctly and you should be able to cool it and stuff like that. But the big thing too is, what if the roof leaks in your room? Or what if you have a weird cat that goes around peeing on everything and they short your computer out? So it's just, you know, my folks had that problem. The worst cat that we had when I was growing up, I guess when the cat was neutered, it didn't go out very well. It didn't go very well. So cat spent the rest of their life constantly having issues with peeing on furniture and stuff like that. Just imagine, you know, a cat spraying the computer and shorting everything out, stinking up the room. It's like, no. Or better yet, forget like pets or anything. You like there's leaking from like the upstairs apartment floods or something. Water comes down through the ceiling, gets in your computer, fries everything. It's just like, I don't know at this point. Yeah, it's not that bad of a case. It's not that bad of a case here. Team Group T-Force Delta. Some of the problems I have, though, like all this RGB lighting and stuff like that. Does this RGB lighting mean that everything's more expensive than it should be? That's something I've come to associate with. RGB. Anything that could be branded as gaming. Suddenly, that's an excuse to crank the price. The other major problem I have is the default Windows license is Windows 11. Windows 10 is still around for a couple of more years. And last I checked, Windows 11 was having problems catching up to Windows 10 in terms of how well it supports games. So I would have had these start with a Windows 10 license, and then you had the option to upgrade to Windows 11 in a couple of years, when hopefully Microsoft has their stuff together. Or maybe is it the case that Microsoft has pulled Windows 10 licensing for new systems and is now requiring new OEMs to use Windows 11 and stuff like that? That was one way they got Vista to go around until they caved and had to do downgrade discs and stuff like that. I don't know. Starforge Horizon, baby. They got a nice blue and green color scheme going with it. It does look like something from a sci-fi movie. But, yeah, the fact that this was originally an i3, though, is pretty laughable, but i5 11400F, and since that's 11th gen, 12th gen is where the warping CPUs come in. So, yeah, you see, we have an 11th gen Intel in here. Why not go AMD Ryzen APU? Here's how I would do this, and maybe we should actually do a comparison build. Deepcool AK400, give it 16 gigs of RAM, put 512 gig NVMe in it, stuff like that. Motherboard's an Asus, at least. Well, then. So, here's what I would do. I mean, this looks cool and all. I'd probably keep most of the specs for this. I would swap the CPU for a Ryzen APU. So, if my graphics card fries, I use my APU to still game and play, especially when I'm using a Radeon graphics card in the first place. The image says GeForce because that used to be a GTX 1660 Ti. But if they're going Radeon with the graphics cards, giving people 6600 XTs, then yeah, I would pair that up with a Ryzen APU. What's the latest one? 5700G or something? I'd pair that up with a Ryzen APU. You're already going to have motherboard socket problems for people upgrading out of this. So in terms of starting, I mean, you didn't start with a 12th gen i5. You didn't start with a 12th gen Intel here. So you have socket problems right off the bat. You have basically a dead socket going into these systems. So what I would have something, just this F-series processor is what bothers me the most here. Because you're going to be doing a lot of gaming. That graphics card's going to get hot. And I have cooked graphics cards before. And it really sucks when you have a computer that's knocked out because the processor that you're using doesn't have integrated graphics. So you can't do regular computer stuff while you're waiting for your new graphics card to come in. And what I would do with this is, since a lot of people that are getting into this are probably going to be savvy enough to replace their own hardware, I wouldn't have them ship the PC back. I would have them have the option of just sending the graphics card back. See, that's what I would do. I would do Ryzen APU, so you would have some way to game while you were waiting for a new graphics card to get sent back. It wouldn't be like this F-series stuff where the whole computer's a paperweight if the RX 6600 XT cooks itself. So I don't know at this point. Looks like they're selling Razer Death Adders too. Razer Death Adder V2 at $34.99 versus on Newegg. Razer Death Adder. What do those go for on Newegg these days? $75. So yeah, so you're actually getting some bundle deals with some of this stuff on normally overpriced Razer gear. That's cool. Then this is the reason why companies like this should exist. There should be a way for people that want to get into PC gaming to benefit from some kind of OEM bulk discount instead of having to roll the dice and cross their fingers that there'll be like another Delosaurus that's built standardized enough in order for, yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, standardized computers are something that PC gaming desperately needs. So let's go back here. Let's go back and check out some of these other models here. The next one is the Horizon Pro PCs, $1349.99. This is the one I don't really care too much. I only care about the entry-level one and how easily can we get people into PC gaming with something reliable like this. Let's see here. A solid 1080p performance, a great introduction to higher resolution. So what, it could do like 4K 30 or something. i5 11400. You know what? Let's just open all these in tabs and flip between them. Horizon, Horizon Pro, Horizon Elite, Horizon Pulse. No, just kidding. Let's just flip between all the various specifications here. 11400F versus your processor hasn't improved. What is it, a graphics card upgrade? T-Force Delta 16 gig, T-Force Delta 16 gig. You have a 1 terabyte SSD, so that's cool. NVMe SSD in there. So, motherboard Asus Prime B560M with AAC. So it looks like it's the same motherboard. Power supply gets upgraded. Processor case is still the same. Operating system is still the same. So there's just a couple upgrades here. This isn't all that bad. 3070 for this one. What's the Elite? $23.99 is the enthusiast dream come true. High-end performance at exorbitant cost. Each of these systems can do 1080p to 4K. 12700, still an F-series processor though. That bothers me. RTX 3080, Deep Cool Castle liquid coolers. Though that's the upgrade to liquid cooling from air cooling. So now you gotta hopefully never spring a leak on those things. I don't know. I've always been skeptical. I've always been pretty skeptical of liquid cooling because just the idea of, computers don't play nice with liquids. Yeah, maybe it's distilled water, something that doesn't conduct and stuff along those lines. SSD, Team Group MP34, 1 terabyte NVMe, Asus Prime Z690 versus B560M. Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade with that stuff. 750 watt power supply. Deep Cool CK50 Mid-Tower ATX and Windows 11, still Windows 11. They must have some kind of OEM license specifically for Windows 11 Pro. I don't know what the deal is at Windows 11, though. Why they're using the Pro version of it, though. Are they really going to maybe try and sell these to companies and businesses? They have like one license for the Pro version of Windows. I don't know. 11500F. Well, let me start with some of that deep cool stuff. Let me start putting something together with Newegg. let me start putting something together with Newegg, and we'll just set that up. Newegg.com. Newegg.com, Just Deals Volume 3. Is that some kind of parody of Just Dance? All right, let me go see what the Horizon thing here. So the deep cool, almost type Dep Cool. Deep Cool, case, CGF60. I'm going to basically take what they have. CGF60 is a $90 case at retail. Add to cart. No, thanks. I don't want an extended protection plan, etc. Now, Ryzen. Let me see here. I'm looking for an APU. Is it the 5700G that is the APU here? So let's see. Ryzen 7 G series. Ryzen 7 5000G series. So if we power this off of Ryzen 7, yeah, it's $289 versus what exactly? The 5700G would be $289 at retail versus what kind of $289 at retail for the Ryzen 7 5700G. Then you have to have a motherboard that comes with it. Let's see here. There is a Micro ATX ASRock motherboard, which brings everything up to $300 for an individual retail price. Versus, so roughly a $289 processor versus, what was that i5 again they were using? i5 11400F. At least they're getting into the Core i5. So $149. So yeah, I would make something using a Ryzen APU, and I would have it as not the entry-level model, obviously. But if you want to get in on that, but that's the thing. That's what we're looking for here, is integrated graphics performance if your graphics card goes down. So you just drop the settings to low mode while you're waiting for your graphics card to get replaced. That's, yeah. All right. So the upgrade, going back to what we're looking at here for Starforge. 12700, this is the i7 12700KF, still using those F-series processors, etc., etc. And then this is the Creator Edition for the streamers, $3,400. That's a Leon Lee. That's probably what a lot of the price is coming from here. Let's see. About the model. i9 12900KF, again with the F-series processors. Deep Cool Castle, RTX 3090, which is now, it's now going to be a 3090, so $3,000 series. 32 gigs DDR4. 2 terabyte SSD. That'll add some cost to it. MSI board. EVGA 850 watt G6. If you only have one graphics card, though, why do you need 850 watts? I'm guessing because of some of the power, the weird power requirements that we see with some stuff, not just top end and stuff like that. Those are what, intermittent surges, something I've heard, where suddenly the graphics card will suck a lot of power instantaneously, and it could destabilize the system. If that's the issue here. So fan 6X Deep Cool. Oh yeah, also fans too. Lots of motors, stuff like that. Still can't get over that super phallic logo. Why haven't they ticked off a lot of people who are like, I'm not going to buy a computer because I don't want to be looking at that like alien equipment there. Custom ViTech RGB plate, operating system Windows 11 Pro, and 850, etc., etc. So I just don't know at this point. By the time you're looking for something like this, you probably have more than enough know-how to build your own systems anyways. So, all right. Well, I guess the big thing that matters the most here is just if you want to get into PC gaming, what does this system do for you? So the magic number is $900 for the Starforge computer. What exactly is available at the $900 mark over on Newegg? I'm looking for a pre-built gaming PC. Let's see here. PC games, laptops, computer systems. There we go. So gaming desktops. Gaming desktops, we're hanging around the $900 mark. So the $750 to $1,000 catalog, what does that have on Newegg? So Asus ROG Strix GL10, Ryzen 7 3700X GTX 1650 Super. I think the better one would be this Skytech gaming one. Let's put this one on screen. Just check for some weird stuff here. Scan to open this page from your mobile device. Newegg is playing with QR codes again. So you're talking a $900 entry-level PC versus this. Skytech Blaze 2 gaming PC desktop, but it has an F-series processor too, but it's 10th gen and whatnot. 2.9 gigahertz RTX 3050 is probably the beefier thing here. 500 gigs NVMe SSD. It's only got 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, so now the Starforge one is starting to look a little better. This is for $850, around the same price point. So what are they making off of these things? 11,400 versus 10,400. So you got a generational difference in the processor. Still doing air cooling. You're doing an RTX. You got an RTX 3050 to start though. 600 watt gold, AC Wi-Fi, Windows 10 home. And it comes with Windows 10 too. So interesting. So that's the closest competitor. That's the closest competitor that I can find on the whole Newegg thing. Skytech Kronos is $1,000, too much. Skytech Archangel 3 gaming PC, i3 12100F, RTX 3050, 500 gig NVMe SSD, 8 gigs, still 8 gigs of RAM though. That's not very good. Not in today's world. You want at least 16, if not higher. All right. Interesting. We'll have to see how Starforge works out then. But yeah, okay. So I think for what it is, of course, if you want to build it yourself, there's always ways to do things cheaper in some ways. I know that Tech Yes City has actually taken a look at this, but this is the one I would focus on the most. So $900, is it really worth it? Or do you want to pay $930 to have something with integrated graphics so you can do regular computer stuff if your graphics card cooks? Interesting. Getting low on this thing. Okay. I say the Starforge folks do have something interesting going here. I'll look at their FAQs. What kind of weird stuff do they have in here? Oh, they're actually showing. Oh, this is for people who don't know anything about how to build computers. All right, some of these conversations here. Okay. Yeah, so the people that want to get into PC gaming but have no idea what they're doing with computers. That explains it. Let's see here. They do have customer service. What is the warranty? 2-year parts, 2-year labor. So the thing is having to ship it back if there's an issue. How can I add more storage? At this time, we do not offer customization. Adding more storage is relatively easy. The most simple way is to use an external USB drive. You can also add internal drives after you've received it. All systems are built with power and data cables for an additional serial ATA storage data pre-routed for the convenience of our clientele. If somebody needs to send your system back for warranty purposes, any drives you have installed yourself should be removed before shipment. Starforge is not responsible for added parts. Let's see. Starforge is proud to have partnered with OTK to stream on their own OTK network channel. As you purchase your system, you'll be able to opt out of the lottery system and have your system be built on our live stream. If you're selected, you'll receive a date and time to watch your PC be put together on stream. So there is some obvious inspiration from artesian builds here. There goes that again. So when does it plug back in? Obvious. Oh, no. That's the camera finally finishing charging for the YouTube videos. It always charges up a bit, discharges a little, then it tops off every time I turn the computer back on. I should probably do something like that. Yes. What's on the hood? There's 4 USB ports on the motherboard, 1 USB Type-C, LAN, Ethernet, graphics cards, HDMI, DisplayPort. Numbers vary from model to model. Long as there's nobody that makes fun of small content creators this go around. All right, what's this? Community is about us, or FAQs. Of course, that shows who's in charge of all of this and stuff along those lines. Oh, that is interesting. Our creators. I guess the big thing too is to start seeing these folks showcasing that they actually do stream with these things. So Or better yet, have challenges too. Like maybe have like technical challenges for the streamers in OTK. This is probably the biggest thing that I would do with Starforge here. So have some kind of challenge where they try to game as well as they can on like the low end system or something, and then see how well they do. That's probably something that's probably something that I would do for all of that. Either way, 102 at the Geek House here. Took a look, little 47, roughly just under an hour discussion here. Took a look at Starforge Systems. I do think the company has potential. A lot of people are criticizing the company, and they're responding to the criticism in mixed fashion. Sometimes people are getting banned for criticizing the company, which is the wrong thing to do. And then there's situations where they change up the hardware in their systems because of some of the criticism of them. But I really think, in the long run, that the big thing that they need to focus on is that entry-level system. Yeah, one of the biggest problems at PC gaming is that people want to get into it, but they have no idea how. And there really is no go-to solution for that. You know, when you took a look at some of the custom-built PCs over on Newegg and whatnot, and it's different companies doing different things in different parts of the world. And if you don't know anything about gaming PCs, you won't know that you're spending like close to $1,000 on something with only 8 gigs of RAM or something like that. Something that would be absolute malarkey to folks like myself who've been building our own systems for 20 years. So other than that's the thing. I mean, there is no go-to brand for this type of stuff. Other than getting a friend who can build computers to do it for you and hoping they'll work for free, there really is no go-to solution for getting into PC gaming. Many companies, including Valve, have tried to make some kind of go-to solution for people to get into PC gaming. But if you're going to get into PC gaming in a similar fashion to getting a console, it should not come with console restrictions or console downsides to it, like the MSI Trident, which is basically an Xbox 360-ish type PC there. It shouldn't come with that. Now, you should be able to experience all the benefits of PC gaming, have an upgrade path, and have a good starting spot. There really is no good starting spot for PC gaming. You can do a retail conversion, but that gets riskier, particularly as the systems get newer. I can tell you the Dellosaurus thing stops at Skylake, because Dell started getting proprietary with the gotchas in that. Then there's other gotchas on the motherboard as well. Really, there should be a company like Starforge somewhere that can be pointed to as a popular starting point for PC gamers getting in on the scene. Or maybe people want like second systems or something like that in case their main system breaks or something. But they can work on the higher end of their catalog first, but I think the rudiments should be that if Starforge wants to do well, they should become a well-known name that people can point to. Oh, you want to get into PC gaming? Start there. You don't have to, of course, but it makes for an easy, convenient way for somebody getting into PC gaming to get started using something that benefits from OEM bulk discounts. So I would do what they're doing. I would just have more options available. I would also have an AMD Ryzen option available too at a different price point. But the thing is, though, no nonsense. Give people a way to get into PC gaming and get started. And then the thing is, though, the people most likely to buy a gaming PC as a full system are people that want to get started or get going again or something like that. Then there's upgrades afterwards. So you get yourself known basically as an entry-level gaming PC company. And everybody gets your system to start with. Maybe they upgrade it afterwards or something. But you get your name out there and you make your sales through people that want to either get started or get started again. Maybe they lost the system in a lightning strike or a natural disaster and they're dreading having to pay individual retail just to get back into the game, or buy a secondhand PC and hope it doesn't have some weird issues with it. So there's definitely room in the industry for a Starforge. They just have to take the right steps to get established. And yeah, I wish them the best of luck with this. It'll give the OTK folks something to do with all their fame, success, and money. Yeah, establishing something like this. There's already people that hope the company fails. I mean, every organization has its haters, But I do think there's definitely a place in PC gaming for a Starforge-like company to be a great starting point. Maybe people will jokingly call it Startforge or something. But have a go-to popular starting point for PC gaming, get in on it similar to buying a console, and then just update the models and, you know, give people the benefit of OEM bulk discounts without having to cross their fingers that Lenovo or somebody won't screw everything up when it comes to gaming. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, got some retro stuff to get back to. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.